wanna get people walking by? Who's this guy? Fucking legend. Pretty sweet, huh? Damn. Oh, that's sweet, man. Yeah. Pretty sweet, man. All right, let's get back to the Mongos. I'll back it up a little bit here, man. Let's see. Back it up like a couple minutes or something.
That's how you justify it. You're conflating wins with rotation.
Dave,
So there's a difference in rotation and
What I'm
wins.
saying is
That's two
what
things.
it means when I say the atmosphere in aggregate is moving in lockstep with the Earth. But the minor fluctuations we perceive as wind. That's all that is. It's
No,
not
that's the conflation. That's the contortion. That's the mind contortion you have to do to make it work, right? Because the winds moving in all directions is different than the rotation. Hold on, Lion, real quick. Lion, hey, Lion, I'll let you take over. Hey, Lion, I have to leave, so I'll say my one thing.
Yeah, leave, dude. You're hogging the fucking mic for 30 minutes.
Yeah, but you're on here all the time for hours. Dude, just let me say this, and I like what you're saying. I don't think we're disagreeing. Just let me say this before I go.
You're losing the audience in obscurities, dude. Just repeating yourself 100 times isn't helping anybody. Yes, you are.
Well, if I can't say, well, dude, if you're lost in obscurities, let me say my thing to clarify real quick before I go, because you're not understanding of that. If there's winds moving in all directions, right, and the atmosphere is said to be in aggregate or more or less or predominantly or whatever estimation word you want to use, the estimation isn't good enough already.
I love the little gift there, the meme with the cat holding on to the tree. That's hilarious.
So the atmosphere as a whole moving in more or less perfect lockstep isn't good enough, even if it were pushing the plane backwards. So you have to believe that the air is moving the plane faster backwards as it goes towards the equator, so much so that the pilot can treat the Earth as perfectly stationary, even though we got winds in all directions. and a rotation that's not in perfect sync because it's not even said to be. It's more or less in sync. So you would have a variable.
Yeah, more or less.
You'd have to train the pilots as if they're aircraft pilots, aircraft carrier pilots, where they're dealing with a slight drift of the surface moving in one direction, as well as winds possibly moving him in all directions. That's two things to deal with. The ballers always try to conflate winds with rotation and say the winds are the same thing. The winds would make the Coriolis be lost in the winds, hidden in the winds, right? So that's why we can't worry about Coriolis, because it would be strong, and that's true. The winds would be more of a thing to deal with.
Dave, somebody please listen. Yo, come on, man.
Okay, let me
That's
let me
address you again. But I'm saying that two things to deal with is not the same. You're saying winds are the same thing as the rotation, and they're not.
Yes.
The rotation wouldn't be in sync. The plane would not be pushed backwards
He didn't even say
to be in sync.
He didn't even
He's
say
saying
that.
the winds. He's saying that air moves the plane in sync with the earth, like a rigid body. That's what he's saying.
Yeah.
Not like a rigid body. No, not like a rigid body. But I am saying
then
that
Let me make up some shit.
when
Here,
the
hold on.
atmosphere is moving different
Let me
from the
make up some
rotation,
shit.
that's just wind. That's what that is. It's not
Sorry, let me
two
get
You got
different
winds
Just
going in
the
all
wind,
directions,
man.
dude.
One thing, I'll be quick. I'll be in and out.
I'm done. I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm saying if it was the wind, if the difference was the winds, it would all be the same wind because it would be based on the rotation. It wouldn't be winds in all directions. Sorry. Sorry.
Yo, listen, dude. They treat the Earth, right, as if it's in lockstep with the exception of dynamic wind, dude. And he keeps running for dynamic wind, dude. We know, dude. We know that this stress you. Yes, you are. You keep using that, bro. Like you're strawmanning our position. So with the exception of dynamic wind, you have to treat the Earth and its atmos as if it's in lockstep, as if it's completely in equilibrium with the surface of the Earth.
I don't like that term equilibrium. I think that has suggestions that I'm
sure you don't.
Why? Because there's dynamic wind. I already told you with the exception of dynamic wind.
I understand that.
Oh, yeah.
What do you mean by equilibrium?
Synchronized. That the surface of the Earth's atmos, right, couple inches above the crust and the Kármán line, all that mass of air is synchronized
to the rotation.
Okay, just say synchronized. Just as a personal favor for this conversation, I can agree with synchronized.
1 for 1 in perfect lockstep.
Yes.
So you have to treat the Earth, the whole system overall, predominantly, right?
Don't say rigid body.
It's synchronized or equilibrium, as if it were a rigid body.
Nope.
With the exception
not as if it were a rigid body.
Wind, with the exception of dynamic wind.
Yes, but not as though it were a rigid body.
Gotcha.
It's basically, dude, come on. Without the nominal fluctuations, it's basically as if it were a rigid body, which is you can't explain that. Those dynamic forces, you don't even have a proof of concept that such a thing is possible.
Earth rotates east to west, so the problem that you're going to have here, right, is regardless of the dynamic wind, you're going to have what you call an overture in like basic pressure in the actual air, considering that you do admit that there is this air itself that's in lockstep with conservation of motion, right, that's synchronized in this direction. So like you would utilize that, and there would be evidence of people utilizing this exact thing. Go ahead.
Yeah, the fact that airplanes can take off from one spot and land in another with no problems. That's exactly what that
welcome
means.
to Flat Earth.
That's why that happens.
From the consequence. But listen, think about putting.
Yeah, welcome to Flat Earth. Stationary, dumbass. What the fuck, man?
A ball, right? Putting a massive object inside of a container.
He's laughing. He's giggling. Did you hear that? He's like, I got him all riled up. Get these guys. It's easy to get these guys riled up. I get it, man. That's their job, man. I think they get paid to do it. I don't know.
Problems. That's exactly what that means. That's why that happens.
From the consequence. But listen, think about putting a ball, right? Putting a massive object inside of a container, right? Or a vacuum, right? Put a ball inside of a vacuum, start spinning it, and then start adding gaseous substances, water vapor, whatever the case
Yeah, that's not going to work out too good.
may be, right? And then that gas then has to start spinning with the rotational velocity of the ball. That's what your model suggests, promotes. That the
not exactly.
Right?
Well, not really, but not really. Really.
Spinning at the exact rate, right?
No, that's your friggin' model, McFantotum Mongo. Come on.
Of the crust. How is that possible?
So your metaphor is a little problematic.
It's problematic. It's a problematic for you, for fuck's sake. Yeah, it's for you. It's a problem, bro. Not. I want to see him explain this shit, man. I want to see him explain this shit.
So your metaphor is a little problematic in that I imagine we're doing this on Earth, right? And as you inject this vacuum container with whatever air or liquid, that's going to be the predominant force, right? Otherwise, if you had this in like the...
Wait, what? So we're going to inject the vacuum into what? Okay, hold on, man.
That's going to be the predominant force, right? Otherwise, if you had this in like the vomit rocket, for example, or out in space or whatever.
The vomit rocket? It's called the... I think they call it the vomit comet. But it's just an airplane that does a nosedive. Yeah. If you want to do
Otherwise, if you...
I've seen experiments done in that vomit comet. It's bullshit, man. It only lasts like a minute. That's it.
Air liquid. That's going to be the predominant force, right? Otherwise, if you had this in like the vomit rocket, for example, or out in space or whatever, you would need that ball to have some sort of...
Speaking of the vomit rocket, the vomit rocket is what Bezos is doing with the Blue Origin. They just go high up and then they just make a big arc and then they float back down. And you went to outer space, man. I mean, William Shatner did it, bro. That was crazy.
For example, or out in space or whatever, you would need that ball to have some sort of attractive force. You could make it magnetic, I suppose. But whatever you do, you would have to not just inject it into the air around the spinning ball, but either have it come from the ball or have it sort of meet the ball in a way that it inherits that momentum.
He's just making shit up on the fly here. Okay, yeah.
The mechanism. And I don't think you have that in your example.
No, yeah.
Hey, Lion.
Providing a model. Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, Lion, real quick. I still have to go, but then talk about the jet streams, right? To say the jet streams are moving up to 200, 400 miles an hour faster than the supposed rotation, right? So that plane gets in the jet stream. Now it's moving faster than the rotation. Then it jumps out of the jet stream and then still somehow just treats the Earth as stationary. How's that work?
Great question, Dave. That's a really damn good question, bro. How's that work?
The same way.
The same way.
That's what I meant when I said
the same way. What same way? So the air slows it down then after it gets out of the jet stream?
Altitude. Back in the middle of a sentence.
The momentum of the Earth, right? All that stuff. When it comes to the jet streams, bro, it's canceled.
Is my chat broken? It might be broken. Okay, cool. Just checking. It's probably broken.
Momentum of the Earth, right? All that stuff. When it comes to the jet streams, bro, it's canceled out.
Yeah, Lion gets it.
Yeah, mathematically, you can just kinematically cancel it all out.
I'm being totally like, what do you call it? Shadow ban? I'm getting shadow banned on this shit. That's for sure.
Yeah, Lion gets it.
Yeah, mathematically, you can just kinematically cancel it all out and treat it as if it's stationary, even though it's not. That's the kinematics versus the dynamic.
Yeah, they had to treat it as if.
How do you
But this is what I'm asking you, bro.
Like to my question earlier, how do you distinguish between kinematics and dynamics? Like if kinematically they're both equivalent, how do you determine which version is correct?
Dynamics, you have to provide the forces at play. Kinematics is just simply observations that are equivalent in both models.
Yeah, you can mathematically make it seem like it works, even if it wouldn't work dynamically.
What if?
Take that, Mongo.
It seemed like it works, even if it wouldn't work dynamically.
What if the mechanism works in both systems, in both models? How would you determine which one is actually?
The flat and stationary one works perfect every time, 100%, without a doubt. Because it works. We can prove that. For fuck's sake, come on.
Well, there's no dynamics. You don't have an air pushing the plane backwards. You don't have any dynamics to that. That's just the kinematic concept that the model says that's so. It doesn't make it real. It just makes an excuse, like you were asking about earlier. That's an excuse that you think is an explanation.
It would, but even kinematically, that would still be an explanation. Like even dynamically, that would still work, though.
Think about spiral galaxies, man. And I'm just thinking of something that I could use as like an example besides a blender. Think about spiral galaxies, right? Now you have the nucleus of the galaxy, and then you have the outer arm. Now, there's it's called differential rotation, right, between the outer arms and the nucleus of the galaxy. In your model, you have to say that the Earth, the sphere, right, that the gases that are at the outer edge, right, of the atmosphere near the Kármán line and beyond, even if it's very minute, that those gases are now equal. There's no differential rotation. They have equalized. They're in equilibrium with the surface gas in their rotation. So it's like if you were to look out into the galaxy, right, or into the universe, and you would see these galaxies, that the outer arms will be spinning at the same tangential velocity as the nucleus of the galaxy, which we do not see. There's differential rotation even out there.
Yes, that's different. It's a different mechanism out there than on the Earth.
What, you're dealing with gravity? What's the difference?
Yeah, that momentum was not inherited in the same way. Right? Some of these things come into.
Oh boy, here it comes.
That momentum was not inherited in the same way. Right?
Really?
Some of these things come into the orbit of the galaxy. Right?
You were there when it was inherited? No, I don't think so, Mongo.
Right, the nucleus of the galaxy, but they never shoot out from the center of that galaxy. That would be a different.
Like
Holy
the
shit!
Bloodlines.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I get your point. I would say that's a different mechanism. So
but the same thing with fluid dynamics. You're going to have a lag. There's going to be differential rotation, especially when you consider the circumference. Where is the dynamic forces coming from? That's why he keeps mentioning kinematics versus dynamics. You might have a kinematic
he's
explanation.
Talking about something different, I think, than you're talking about.
How do you explain it dynamically?
I don't think so.
Where is this added energy coming?
You have no mechanism. You just have a kinematic concept.
No. So there's two different things being spoken.
There's two different things, and they both work fine. And ours works great, and yours works good, and everything's good. Is that where he's going with this shit? Come on.
Kinematic concept.
No. So there's two different things being spoken of here. I think he's talking about how a plane gains momentum as it goes through the atmosphere if the atmosphere is, in lockstep. You're talking about how the atmosphere is in lockstep in the first place. Have I got that right?
What the fuck, man? Musicians for truth, bro.
Yeah, you
all right.
Sorry.
Yeah, you can explain it kinematically, right? But how do you explain it dynamically?
Well, the atmosphere being in lockstep with the Earth, I don't think that is a matter of kinematic or dynamic. That's just.
Oh, it absolutely is.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, that's it. It doesn't matter, Dread.
That's just a concept that I accept. It has nothing to do with kinematics or dynamics.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
No,
right?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that there's no I don't know what that. I mean, the explanation, as best I can say it, is it inherited the momentum. Like, I don't know what more you have an issue with there. Are you saying it couldn't have, or are you saying that there's something else that would influence the system?
That's not even the way that they okay, let me ask you this. If the plane goes into a jet stream going 200 miles per hour faster than the rotation, did the plane inherit that momentum?
It's getting a 200 mile an hour push to some degree, yeah.
So you're saying
that
when it comes out of the jet stream, then it has to go, then it has to slow down to be in sync with the Earth again?
Well, no, if there's a difference between the jet stream that it was traveling in and the air that it's now entering in, then it's going to feel that difference, right? I don't know if you've ever jumped out of an airplane before, but the moment you jump out, it feels like you're being pushed by that air. As opposed to, for example, jumping out of a hot air balloon, where the air you're in and the air that you jumped into is relatively the same speed.
Yeah, and that air, when you jump out, that air could be pushing you the opposite direction of the rotation, right?
Right. So there's an interesting experiment that was done with driving a car. It was on Mythbusters, right? They wanted to recreate this movie scene.
Oh boy, here we go with some car explanation. What's up, Jeeps?
Right. So there's an interesting experiment that was done with driving a car. It was on Mythbusters, right? They wanted to recreate this movie scene where there's a truck with an open truck, right? It's got the tail dragging on the asphalt, and you drive into the thing, right?
Yeah, 80 kilometers an hour, eject him out the back. Yeah, he lands on his feet and he's like standing up.
No. You're driving a car onto a truck, onto a moving truck, right? And the prediction, I think it was.
Yeah, I just watched a video, I don't know, a couple months ago, man, where they had a train with a bunch of flatbeds on it, and there was this kid on a little bicycle, and he was riding and doing jumps on a moving train, and he stayed in the same position, like almost exact, like, you know, the train was moving, he did like flip. It was a Red Bull deal. You could look it up, man. It's like a BMX bike on a train. I could probably pull it up, but I'll get in trouble if it's a Red Bull deal, man. But yeah, I think that's what he's trying to explain, right? Yeah, you still got to watch part 1, Joe. I'm sorry, man. It's basically the same argument, you know, planes flying on the Earth, and they have to make up for spin and rotation and curvature and all kinds of crazy stuff. But yeah, they don't have to, you know, in reality. But these are the Mongos that come up with explanations for it, why they don't have to do it, you know, because it just magically does it, bro, Joe.
His feet and he's like standing up.
No. You're driving a car onto a truck, onto a moving truck, right? And the prediction, I think it was Adam's prediction, was that the wheels would grip on the bed of the truck and immediately shoot into the driver, right? But what happened was the momentum of the car made it such that the wheels slipped a little, and it didn't have enough energy to like bolt the car forward, but it just drove into the truck pretty smoothly, right? So you have several different things in this airplane jet stream scenario. You have the jet stream carrying the plane, and then you have the plane go out of the jet stream into presumably a slower air, right? And you're going to have the momentum that it's traveling at, the mass of the airplane. There's all of those things are going to play into. It's not just going to go the speed of the slower air, but it's also not going to be the same speed as the jet stream, right? There's a mitigation there that happens. I don't know if that made sense.
Well, yeah, there'd be so many variables that he would have to be doing something on the pilot's part to make sure that he's in perfect sync with the ground that he's about to treat as perfectly stationary.
Yeah.
But it doesn't happen. Somehow that all works itself out.
Yeah, he just treats the ground as perfectly stationary, and it just, you know, he doesn't have to think about any rotation, spin, and anything. Yeah, exactly.
Perfectly stationary. But it doesn't happen. Somehow that all works itself out, so that it's in such perfect lockstep that it's just going to.
He said, "Yep." He goes, "Yep." Yeah. Did you hear that? He goes, "Yep."
treat as perfectly stationary. But it doesn't happen. Somehow that all works itself out, so that it's in such perfect lockstep that it's just going to treat the Earth as stationary no matter what the pilot does.
Yes.
Somehow that eastward vector. That's the concept. That's the kinematic concept that has no dynamics, and any kind of explanation you try to work into a dynamic, force that makes that happen, you're going to sound more and more ridiculous as you try to justify it. The only thing you can say is it's equal. I don't know how it works, but all these variables cancel each other out, so that it's just like it's stationary, even though it's moving 500 miles per hour faster, or the plane has to be being pushed backwards at 1,000 miles an hour to treat the Earth as stationary.
I don't know what you mean by push back.
Here we are in 2026, man. And you fucking Mongo is what I don't know what you mean by that. Dude, are you fucking kidding me, bro? I mean, come on. This guy's been around, dude. 100%. I don't deal with him, but I'm glad these other New Perspective and other people deal with the Mongos, man. But yeah, it's the same, they're just like, yeah, it just works, bro. Trust me, bro, kind of thing. And it is kind of funny still. It's still funny. If it wasn't funny, I think I would be gone by now. But it is still funny how these guys can claim this bullshit, man.
It's at 1,000 miles an hour to treat the Earth as stationary.
I don't know what you mean by push backwards, but yes, if it took off at where the Earth is rotating.
Yeah, Sue, man, I'm pretty tired too, man. Kind of had a weird day, but I think we got sprayed over the weekend pretty heavy, so I think that's dragging the energy down or something, man. But yeah, hang in there, Sue. Pour some coffee, have a cocktail. Either one works for me. Anyway.
I don't know what you mean by push backwards, but yes, if it took off at where the Earth is rotating 500 miles an hour and it's landing where it's moving 1,000 miles an hour, it will have inherited that speed as it's pushing off the air that's also moving at those two different speeds in those locations, right?
Yeah, like totally, man. Like totally. And, because it just works perfect, bro. Come on. It's a magic thing. Do you believe in magic? Yeah, and a young globe.
So the air is moving at 500 miles where it's off. The air is moving.
If you try to convince a pilot that his plane is moving eastward at 1,000 miles an hour, which is 500 miles per hour faster possibly, or if you took off from the pole, it'd be 1,000 miles. If you try to say that mechanically, dynamically, his plane is now going 1,000 miles an hour eastward, and consistently so, even though he's aimed the other direction and slowing down to land and treating it as if it's stationary, but his plane is now moving literally 1,000 miles an hour backwards somehow with the air. That's what I mean by pushed. What's the mechanism that makes him go in sync with the Earth?
Confused.
What's the mechanism that keeps the plane? What's the mechanism, the dynamic mechanism that keeps the plane in perfect sync at 1,000 mile an hour rotation as he's slowing down to land in the opposite direction? What's the mechanism that does that?
I think I misunderstood your example. Like, can you flesh this out a little?
Holy shit! He's like totally like avoiding that question. Oh, what do you mean by that? I don't know. Dude, that guy's been around long enough. He knows this argument. He's heard it a fucking 100 times, bro. Planes fly backwards, and catch up with the spin. I mean, come on. These Mongos, man. But yeah, this is the same shit. He's just trying to egg Dave along, man, on this one, man. I'm just pointing it out. That's all.
As he's slowing down to land in the opposite direction. What's the mechanism that does that?
I think I misunderstood your example. Like, can you flesh this out a little?
The pilot treats the Earth as stationary, which we agree on, no matter where he goes, no matter where he lands, right? He could just be randomly landing somewhere. But the plane has to be in perfect. The plane has to be in perfect sync with the rotation, even if it's 500 miles per hour faster than where he took off from. What's the mechanism that's making the plane in perfect sync with the Earth? in perfect sync. Even though the atmosphere is not said to be in perfect sync, and you don't think it's being pushed back. Reflection.
It's in sync enough that you make up that 500 mile difference.
It's in sync enough that they could just, orbit the moon and land on it. I mean, it's just like in perfect sync, man. That's what we do, bro.
It's in sync enough that you make up that.
Chad, what's up, Daz? Riza, good to see you guys, man. Good to see you.
That 500 mile difference, right? Like you can have again those. No, the air does. The air makes
up the difference.
So you have two places, right? One that's going 500 miles an hour, the other that's going 1,000 miles an hour, right?
Yeah, but you're saying that.
That's correct. One's going at 500 where I took off, and where I'm landing, it's going 1,000. That's the point of this whole conversation. How do you make up for what you have to do to land that plane? Well, the pilots don't have to make up for shit because they just fly from Canada to the equator, no problem. Why? Because it's flat and stationary. Come on.
Going 500 miles an hour, the other that's going 1,000 miles an hour, right?
Yeah, but you're saying that the air makes up the difference.
Wait.
The air only goes in one direction, but we have winds going in all directions, not just one direction.
Right. I got it. I'm trying to walk you through this. You have 500 miles an hour over here, 1,000 miles an hour over there, right? In both of these places, if there's someone there, what wind do they perceive in those locations?
It could be at varying winds. There's all kinds of variables. There's no way to know.
Okay.
Could be 100 mile an hour, 150. Could be a hurricane. Could be a nice calm day at the beach. 5 mile an hour breeze, man. Could be anything, yeah. That's the point.
It could be at varying winds. There's all kinds of variables. There's no way to know.
Okay. Let's give a max. Let's say maximum 50 miles an hour. Okay?
In any direction.
In either direction. You choose.
And any, like northwest, south, anytime, variables.
Absolutely.
All kinds of variables.
Yes.
Oh, shit. I don't know what happened there.
No, variables. All kinds of variables.
Yes.
Sorry.
Nothing predictable.
Yes. Okay. So, he takes off from the 500 mile an hour, and he's approaching the 1,000 mile an hour, right? What does he experience in the plane? Right? Because he doesn't experience the ground shifting underneath of him at 500 miles an hour because it's now going 1,000, right?
No, and he doesn't experience wind pushing him backwards to stay in sync with the earth either.
Exactly. He experiences at most 50 mile an hour winds, right?
Yeah, which has nothing to do with rotation. It's just winds in any direction.
It does. No, it.
Oh, it does. Oh, now it does. Now it does. Okay.
Right?
Yeah, which has nothing to do with rotation. It's just winds in any direction.
It does. No, it does, because the rotation is the reason the wind is traveling at the same speed as the ground.
No, the wind goes in all directions at any speed. It has nothing to do with the ground.
550 miles an hour though, right? You're talking about
in any direction.
500 miles an hour.
In any direction, the winds are variable that has nothing to do with the consistency of the rotation.
Can I ask you a question?
What I'm saying is, we've accepted 50 mile an hour. Hold on a second. Wait. We've accepted 50 mile an hour winds, and you're trying to find a discrepancy of 500 miles an hour.
There we go, Joe.
50 mile an hour.
No. I'm saying the discrepancy is in the ground. He's treating the ground as stationary. No. I'm saying the discrepancy is in the ground. He's treating the ground as stationary. So now he has to have the idea of the conserved momentum that he took off with, that you had to begin with, like he's in sync because he was on the ground.
Right.
Now you have to
compare to the atmosphere
that the plane's in sync with 1,000 miles an hour with no mechanism of him being pushed backwards.
I'm telling
with
you,
wind going in all directions. And if he's landing, he's having to deal with a slightly different aggregate of difference between the more or less moving atmosphere. Even if you believe somehow there's a mechanism in the atmosphere to push him backwards, even if you thought that was possible, it's not good enough.
The
globe model is not good enough.
Is the mechanism, because
it's in the winds, in the atmosphere. I get it. The atmosphere is the mechanism. Finally, we got an answer It's been years. Oh my goodness. Dave, thank you, brother. The mechanism is in the atmosphere, bro. Come on.
Or even if you believe somehow there's a mechanism in the atmosphere to push them backwards, even if you thought that was possible, it's not good enough.
The atmosphere is
the globe model is not good enough.
The atmosphere is the mechanism. Because
compared
to the atmosphere, the Earth.
Yeah, they got a little. I could see why they jumped all over that shit. I would have jumped all over it. Wait a minute. What the fuck are you talking about? Yeah, that got a little crazy right there. Let's see if they get through it somehow.
The atmosphere is the mechanism. Because compared to the atmosphere, the Earth is stationary.
Large containers on the ground. Why don't you put large containers on the ground to prove this exact premise then, right? You have a large container on the Earth, right, that's sealed off effectively. Thus, it would be what? It would be affected by the conservation of motion, right? You have air inside of this chamber, right? You leave it enough room there.
I don't know where Crack Villain is going here, man. But let's hear him out. Let's hear him out, man.
Of motion, right? You have air inside of this chamber, right? You leave it enough room that it has the ability to move. You do all of these different things, right? You even could try and take out the dynamicity of the weather itself away from this, right?
What the hell is he
talking
about?
And then you can try and prove this 50-mile-an-hour wind in all directions, right? But it won't happen, right? Because your claim is that
I don't know what he's talking about either, man. I'm a little confused. You guys got this? Maybe I'm off. Yeah, maybe. Shit.
Dude, what are you claiming?
Real quick, let me just clarify with them.
I don't know where he was going with that. What if all globe debates actually paid to waste everybody's time? Yeah, I think those Mongos are for sure, man. To pay, just keep everybody. What do you mean gravity? What do you mean, Coriolis? What do you mean Cavendish? What do you mean by airplanes? What do you mean? I don't understand. Yeah, they just waste your fucking time, man. Because planes fly flat and stationary, and we're not moving. And that's it, man. I don't know if we're wasting our time, but find it entertaining at least to see these Mongos try to explain their way out of shit. It's kind of funny, man. All right.
Dude, what are you claiming?
Real quick, let me just clarify with them. We were going back and forth. But you're saying that the atmosphere acts like a wind, pushing him backwards faster to stay with the Earth, even though there's winds going in all directions? You're saying there's another wind that's pushing the...
No, I'm saying that the atmosphere is rotating at the same speed as the ground.
But it has to push the plane faster than where it took off from. So if it's pushing the plane, it's acting as a wind on the plane without the pilot feeling or noticing or knowing anything about.
Yeah, I think you're right, Lord Racer. These guys just do it out of pure spite, man. I ran into one of the Mongos last night at the bar, and I was like, there was a beautiful moon last night. I looked up. We were standing outside having a smoke. I looked up the moon. I go, dude, that looks teeny. Check it out. I go, do you think we landed on the moon, bro? And he's like, what are you, a flat earther, man? Like, instantly. That was his first response. What are you, a flat earther? All I asked is, do you think we landed on the moon, man? That's where they program so many people, man, to like, oh, you're a moon landing denier? You're a flat earther. Boom. Check. And this guy was drunk as fuck, man. But yeah, that was a complete subconscious, response to flat earthers, man. Like, oh, because I denied the moon landing, I'm a flat earther? Yeah, they've conflated the two completely. Anyway, let's get back to these flying airplanes on a globe. Let's get back to that. Let's get back.
To push the plane faster than where it took off from. So if it's pushing the plane, it's acting as a wind on the plane without the pilot feeling or noticing or knowing anything about this wind that's pushing him backwards. That's what I meant by push backwards. that have to be pushing the plane backwards at 1,000 miles an hour, even though he's got winds in other directions that he does feel, and those are dynamic. Those are real winds. You're saying there's a fake wind or a pseudo wind that keeps him in rotation backwards, even though he's landing and slowing down westward to land. That's what you believe?
So, like, why?
No.
That's it, Jeeves. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny, man. I mean, beginning instantly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
I'm not calling that the wind.
Wait, no. He was talking about, right, you have the dynamic winds, right? Yeah?
Right.
That would be producing the 50-mile-an-hour differential winds in all directions, potentially, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay? So, what we're simply saying now is that, okay, why don't you control these variables a little bit, scale down your model, okay, then create exactly this 500-mile-an-hour conservation of motion that you claim exists in whatever direction, yeah, in the air, but do it inside of a controlled environment. Take away the dynamic winds, and then prove that this 500-mile-an-hour, right, synchronization with the Earth's conservation of motion with this air. You could do
so I think we could do this as a kind of thought experiment, right? And not to say that this is actually what's happening. But
the thought experiment, like outer space and galaxies, trillions of miles away. What? Yeah, that kind of thought experiment. Because, that has nothing to do with reality, man. I mean, nobody's ever been trillions of miles away from Earth, bro. That's a fact. I'm sorry to break it to you, but that's a fact, bro. You ain't ever been trillions of miles away from Earth. It's hilarious.
Kind of thought experiment, right?
Yeah, let's thought it out.
Not to say that this is actually what's happening, but that it wouldn't be a contradiction if it were, right? So imagine winds just don't exist, right? And imagine that the atmosphere is as we...
Just imagine a bunch of crazy stuff, man. Like, imagine a bunch of crazy stuff, Jeeves. Come on. Just imagine, bro. Come
on. And imagine that the atmosphere is, as we claim, in absolute perfect lockstep, no fluid dynamics, no nothing, right?
Real quick, you don't actually claim that, though. You say more or less you don't claim perfect lockstep, by the way.
Yeah, yes, correct. Yeah. Right? So now we have an atmosphere that is in perfect lockstep, right? No turbulence, no jet streams, no nothing, right? If it's in perfect lockstep and the Earth is still, again, rotating 500 miles an hour over here in the north, 1,000 miles at the equator.
Yeah.
If I
zero
take off in an airplane and I still use the air for thrust, right? I'm still pushing off the air to get to where I'm going. The atmosphere is still moving with the rotation of the Earth, right?
Jeeps.
So this trajectory that I have,
to
me, is gonna have.
Shit. Hold on, Jeep. Yeah, fuck. I gotta back this up. Yeah, you're right, Jeeps. Takes forever to even count to 1 trillion, man. I mean, come on. Even if you, it's crazy. It's gigabytes worth of counting.
The atmosphere is still moving with the rotation of the Earth, right? So this trajectory that I have, to me, is gonna have. If the Earth is.
This sounds like the same guy I talked to at the bar last night when I questioned the moon landing, and he called me a flat earther. Immediately, by the way. Oh, what are you, a flat earther? I did, how did he come to that so quickly? That's what threw me off, man. I was like, what? Really? And I told him after he asked me if I was a flat earther, I said, hey, man, looks flat, flies flat, sails flat. Last time I checked. And his response was a little aggressive. I could see he was taken back by that one, man. He was taken back. Looks flat, flies flat, sails flat. And it also looks and feels stationary. By the way, I think I threw that one in there. I might have thrown that one, yeah.
Still moving with the rotation of the Earth, right? So this trajectory that I have, to me, is gonna have, if the Earth is rotating, let's say, what am I traveling, north to south? So
north to south, yeah.
This is why you need
is going.
You're flying from north to south. You're flying from the North Pole to the equator, Manny, and you have to like adjust, man, because where you took off was 0, and now you got to land it at 1,000 miles an hour spinning. From 0 to 1,000, man. That's what I'm saying, bro. Explain it. Explain that shit. How's that work again? Go ahead.
Going north to south. So, hold on.
This is why you need
hold on.
The conservation of motion from the Earth itself to the atmosphere, right?
Yes. We're presuming that, yes. The atmosphere is inherited the momentum of the Earth.
Right, then the atmosphere. Then if you went into an area where you were devoid of these things, i.e. the atmosphere itself, right? Like a tunnel, yeah? Let's say it was even a very large vacuum chamber, right? Then you would still have the basis of the origination that created the movement of the air itself, right?
Yes, but that's different though.
Conservation of motion.
Because right, but if you take away the atmosphere, now you're a ballistic object. Right? You're not pushing off the air.
How did the atmosphere itself start to move in that way, you idiot? You don't have
because
the
it inherited the momentum.
You don't wait there. You have the antecedent to claim how the atmosphere is moving in that way. Again, the atmosphere comes here first, right?
Momentum.
The atmosphere is then thrust into this conservation of motion in the actual air itself, right? But you're saying once you take away
I don't know what you mean by that.
No, that the plane itself wouldn't be able to experience.
I don't know what you mean by that. I don't know what you mean by that. That's his answer to the question. He's like, dude, come on, listen. Listen up, Mongo. Listen. I don't know what you mean by that. I'm tracking perfectly. Are you guys tracking? I'm tracking.
The atmosphere comes here first, right?
Momentum.
The atmosphere is then thrust into this conservation of motion in the actual air itself, right?
So the conservation of momentum is thrust into the air itself, and his answer is I don't know what you mean by that, bro. I have no clue.
You're saying once you take
I don't know what you mean by that.
No, that the plane itself wouldn't be able to experience the same thing.
And he said it with such confidence, right? Come on, bro. He said it with such. I don't know what you mean by that. That's like knowing how you would respond to something beforehand. I think they teach that shit
in the actual air itself.
Debate tactics, you know. I don't know what you mean by that. That's like a debate tactic bullshit.
Momentum.
You don't wait there. You have the antecedent to claim how the atmosphere is moving in that way. Again, the atmosphere comes here first, right?
Momentum.
The atmosphere is then thrust into this conservation of motion in the actual air itself, right?
Beer.
But you're saying once you take
I don't know what you mean by that.
No, that the plane itself wouldn't be able to experience the same thing. So it's dependent.
No, it wouldn't have. It wouldn't gain those 500 miles as it's going south.
Well, the rotation of the Earth is still happening, or is it not?
It is, but the plane would have to more intentionally adjust for it, as it sees the Earth slipping from underneath of it. It would still be able to do it.
What?
Well, they would be able to do it, you know. Like if they give a shit about it, they would be able to do it. But they don't give a shit. They don't even give a fuck all. They just take off and land. They ain't thinking about no fucking spin, curve, nothing, bro. That's the problem with these and these guys will still fight for it. Manufact Totem is a manufact Mongo, bro. I mean, what are you thinking, bro? Manufact Mongo.
But the plane would have to more intentionally adjust for it, as it sees the Earth slipping from underneath of it. It would still be able to do it.
What?
They would be able to do it. Whoa. Here's the problem, man. No pilot ever does it. they would be able to do it was the key. Did you hear that? They would be able to do it. They don't do it. Oh, fuck, they don't do it.
It is, but the plane would have to more intentionally adjust for it as it sees the Earth slipping from underneath of it. It would still be able to do it.
But they don't. They don't do it. Yeah, it's all show, Manny. Manny, you're the show, bro. Yeah.
So that would be a different situation.
Yeah, I know. I'm bringing up a different situation in order that you have a methodology in which you could take away the variables in which you're fucking arguing about in order that you could prove this ridiculous fucking claim, right?
Right. That's what I was trying to do when you interrupted me.
Yeah.
That's what it is. The fucking idea, you retard.
What the fuck, man?
Right. And then you took some weird tangent while I was trying to flesh that out.
All right. Hey, go back to your scenario you were trying to explain because I didn't get it either.
Okay, so I'm traveling north to south, right? I'm starting at where it's rotating 500 miles, and I'm traveling to the equator. So the Earth is rotating to my left.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, so the Earth is rotating left, right?
Yep.
I take off.
Gotcha.
The air, which has no wind, again, no fluid dynamics, is also moving with the ground left.
Oh.
Right? 500 miles where I took off. By the time I get to my destination, it will be moving 1,000 miles an hour from some outward reference point, right? Somebody looking at
from my left,
from the moon or something, whatever. By the time I get there, I will.
Wait. Back that up, Mongos. Did you hear that shit? Come on, help me out there, man. You guys got to help me out, man. I'm on my own island over here. You guys got to help me.
Moving 1,000 miles an hour from some outward reference point, right? Somebody looking at the Earth from the moon or something, whatever. From some outward on my ground, has no wind, again, no.
So this Mongo, like, imagine looking at the Earth from, way out there. This is how it's going to go. It's going to spin from the left, exactly. If you're going south, it's spinning from the left to the right. Left to right. Any of you golfers out there? Left to right, putt. Anyway, left to right. It's spinning left to right, Mongos.
Right? I take off. The air, which has no wind, again, no fluid dynamics, is also moving with the ground left. Right? 500 miles where I took off. By the time I get to my destination, it will be moving 1,000 miles an hour from some outward reference point, right? Somebody
from outer space can witness this magical space-time wind. Did I just make something up? I think I did. It's called space-time wind, bro. But I stole it from Manufactotum, Mongo.
It will be moving 1,000 miles an hour from some outward reference point, right? Somebody looking at the Earth from the moon or something, whatever. By the time I get there, I will have been pushing off that same air, right? Forward, but that air has been moving left. Just like the ground has been moving left. By the time I get to where I'm going, the ground and the air together have all been moving, gradually reaching 500 miles an hour faster than where I took off. Over however many hours that's taken me, I have gained that speed just by traveling through the air. Me, the air, and the ground have all been moving left faster and faster.
Wow, man. That sounds like a galaxy that blew up, a million billion years ago. 30 trillion miles away. Whatever, man. I mean, it sounds like a magical kind of explanation for why pilots treat the Earth as flat and stationary. It's a magical explanation. Do you guys want to hear it again? I do, definitely.
However many hours that's taken me, I have gained that speed just by traveling through the air. Me, the air, and the ground have all been moving left faster and faster.
Space-time wind, Ron. I know you love it. I mean, sorry for the crunchy audio, but yeah, space-time wind, bro. Get you to places, bro. We all need space-time wind. I think I made something up tonight, man. Thank you, Manufactotum, for giving me space-time wind.
The air. Me, the air, and the ground have all been moving left faster and faster.
Yep, that's the kinematic concept. No dynamics to it whatsoever.
It's a space-time wind concept. It's really where we're going, bro. Yeah, the solar winds. Yeah, I know about the solar winds.
However,
solar winds.
It's just the idea.
I don't know what you mean by dynamics if it's not me pushing off the air physically.
Okay, well, let me just give you a couple hypotheticals that explain it. Maybe if you actually think that's true, then maybe it would work. It would be good for you to listen to some hypotheticals. Like, say there could be some kind of like, beam me up Scotty. Like he could just be automatically beamed to the equator, right? The plane would experience a 500-mile-per-hour wind if it was like automatic transfer, right? Or if you personally were at a 500-mile-per-hour latitude and then you were just teleported to the equator, would you feel the difference in the wind? Because it wasn't gradual.
That would, I don't know. I think that would depend on how you're teleporting. Like,
dude, are we going Star Trek teleporting shit on this manga? Would you experience the difference in the wind if you were teleported? Okay, that's an interesting question. I've never heard that one before. Have you guys ever heard of that one? Would you experience different winds if you were teleported? Interesting. Star Trek, teleportation, early 60s, before the moon landing kind of television show. You could teleport all kinds of places, man. You can go some cool places, bro. It's the Magic Kingdom, Joe. It's the Magic Kingdom. You got that right. Yeah, it's amazing how the atmosphere sticks to the ground. And it just gradually increases as you go up. I mean, it's amazing. The equator slows back down as as you go south of the equator. Just magically slow. Wait. If you went past the equator, wouldn't it speed up again? Wouldn't it start to or slow? Yeah, it would slow down again. You're right. It just slows down again perfectly. You're right. Okay.
Difference in the wind?
Because
it wasn't gradual.
That would, I don't know. I think that would depend on.
I don't know. That's a good answer there, Totem. I'll just call him Totem, man. Forget them. Man, you've Mongo Totem.
Because it wasn't gradual.
That would, I don't know. I think that would depend on how you're teleporting. Like, I can't really even make sense of that, really.
But do you get what I'm saying with, like, the way that...
He can't make sense of teleporting? What? Come on, man. Everybody knows what teleporting is, bro. Everybody knows. Everybody knows. I mean, my goodness.
You're teleporting. Like, I can't really even make sense of that, really.
But do you get what I'm saying with, like, the way that you're doing... The way that you have to think of it is gradual, right? But if it was instantaneous...
Yeah, I think there could...
you would think there'd be some kind of a change that would be noticeable. Like another scenario, like if say you lived your whole life at near the North Pole, right? Now you're said to be moving only like maybe 100 miles, 200 miles an hour your whole life, right? And then you were teleported to the equator that's said to be moving 1,000 miles an hour. So all of a sudden now your environment's moving at 800 miles per hour faster than where you've lived your whole life. Right now, you can think of it like if he took a plane ride there, he would adjust on the way. But if he was teleported or whatever, just in general, it's silly. But do you think that there might be a difference in the way someone feels by being 800 miles per hour faster, suddenly?
No, not just because of that. Like I feel like there's a way you could teleport something where yes, you could do that, like from a sort of singular reference. So all rotation sort of cancel out.
Yeah, he's kind of I don't know, gish galloping. He's kind of like, well, maybe blah blah blah. Blah. I don't know. I maybe here. Let's hear that again. Let's hear that one more time, man. Here we go.
No, not just because of that. Like I feel like there's
no. He's thinking. I get it. He's trying to come up with an absolute perfect scenario where it works, man. He has to like do the jungle mind stuff, man. If it's flat and stationary, not moving, man, you don't have to do the like. Let me think about it. No. You just go straight in, man. You go, what? It's not moving. It's flat, stationary. It's not spinning. Here we go, man. No bendy water. Let's go. What do you got? You got something here, Mongo? I don't think so.
Feels by being there, he would adjust on the way. But if he was teleported or whatever, just in general, it's silly. But do you think that there might be a difference in the way someone feels by being 800 miles per hour faster? Suddenly.
No.
No. They wouldn't feel it at all, man. Of course, because it's flat and stationary, Mongos. Let's go. Here we go.
Not just because of that. Like I feel like there's a way you could teleport something where, yes, you could do that, like from a sort of singular reference.
No, but yes, maybe, possibly, could be, kind of like reference, right?
Yes, you could do that, like from a sort of singular reference. So all rotations sort of cancel out. So
this is not literal, bro. We're doing the teleportation. This is like pure fantasy shit, man. Let's go.
Singular reference. So all rotations sort of cancel out. So
I'm just telling that there's things that allow my brain works. It's kind of like the way that they explain it is with the gradualness. A lot of guys try to say, well, he's correcting for his course. He's got a ground path. Therefore, all the corrections he's doing to counteract the rotation, because the ground path leads him to this destination that's moving 1,000 miles an hour. So the pilot's actually creating this faster eastward vector that allows him to be in sync. But you're saying the pilot doesn't do that, just the air eventually pushes the plane only eastward at a consistent rate enough so he can always treat it as perfectly stationary. That's what you believe, right?
Effectively,
yeah, so that's the kinematic concept that has no dynamics to it, because the pilot deals with dynamic winds the whole time, and it has nothing to do with one wind that pushes him 500 miles per hour faster eastward.
I don't think that's the dynamic that they're talking about when they talk about dynamics versus kinematics. I think dynamic.
Holy shit, man! I mean, is he saying? Oh, that's not what they're talking about when it comes to actual wind, versus some made-up wind, right? So yeah, I think he's trying to scoot his way out of this one, man. He's trying. Do you see it? You guys see it. I appreciate you hanging out, man. It's hilarious. Space-time wind, man. Space-time, bro. You mean, yeah.
Pilot deals with dynamic winds the whole time, and it has nothing to do with one wind that pushes him 500 miles per hour faster eastward.
I don't think that's the dynamic that they're talking about when they talk about dynamics versus kinematics. I'm
talking about real dynamics objectively. The pilot isn't dynamically aware that the wind or air or pseudo wind, whatever you want to call it, is pushing the plane twice as fast eastward by the time he's landing.
That's the whole point of this. I think it started with Brian Mullins. You guys remember Brian? Damn, he was like a engineer that said, "Hey, man, what's up with the dynamics of the planes? We got a problem here, bro." we would have to adjust for something. But yet, no pilots do. We got a problem. This goes back to like 16, 15. And, 10 years ago, they were talking about this shit, man. Like, bringing this shit up. Let's go.
The plane twice as fast eastward by the time he's landing. The pilot doesn't know that that's happening. That means there's no dynamics.
All that gets lost.
It's just a kinematic concept that you have to believe happens because there's no dynamics. So there's sensors on the plane that would know that that's
lost
happening.
And all that other stuff.
So
the pilot, it's so minor that it gets lost in all the other circuits.
But the pilot knows there's 50-mile-an-hour winds in each direction the whole time. He has no idea there's one pseudo wind that's moving him consistently 500 miles per hour eastward. You know why he doesn't know that? Because it's not happening and the Earth is actually stationary and people just pretend it all moves together. That's the point.
Well, that's a kinematic position if you want it, but...
No, it's a realistic position, man. I'm not trying to be unrealistic here. I don't think any of us are. And when it deals with real things like fire's hot or the Earth's spinning, we're flying through the spinny Earth. Nah, it's not happening, bro.
Actually stationary, and people just pretend it all moves together. That's the point.
Well, that's a kinematic position if you want it, but...
Oh, that's you're the kinematic position. That's a dynamic position. Because if we're acknowledging the dynamics say it's stationary, and that's the only way the pilot could treat it as stationary. That's the dynamics,
my son. The dynamics don't say that. No,
it would if there was actual dynamics in your explanation. It would say, oh, well, it's just active. They just treat it as if stationary. Your model says as if stationary, as if they included the dynamics.
So whichever part of the model says as if stationary, I feel is the same part that says as if rigid body, as if no changing mass. Like that's just a way to simplify the math.
I thought you were against the rigid body idea.
Stationary.
I thought you were against the rigid body idea.
That's my point.
You can't treat gas like it's a rigid body, which is where we started from. You can't treat it like that.
I was talking about the plane.
You can pretend it's like that. You can pretend it's like that, but it can't dynamic.
I was talking about the plane.
No, the atmosphere has to act like a rigid body.
It does not. No.
Well, then it's not in perfect sync, and even those small variables would make a difference, even if it could push the plane backward 500 miles per hour faster. The difference would not be a wind.
500-mile difference.
It would be even if it was a slight difference of a few miles an hour eastward, it's not a wind. It's not. You can think of it like a wind, but there'd be two things to deal with. If he was dealing with crosswinds in any direction, as well as a drifting thing to land on, like an aircraft pilot has to deal with, then we train all our pilots as if they're aircraft pilots, because there might be a slight difference in his eastward vector motion than the Earth's rotation, as well as all kinds of winds that he has to deal with. Dealing with just winds on a stationary Earth is different than dealing with winds on a rotating Earth. There's two different things.
It's not.
You cannot separate them.
Absolutely not.
No, you have to think there's not.
You can't separate them. That's my whole point, is you can't separate them. If you have wind going 450 miles this way and you have another wind going 50 miles the opposite direction, that's not two different winds. That's one wind going 50 miles less fast in the same direction, right? That's the same wind.
And if you have a rotating Earth
one from the other.
If you have an eastward rotating Earth that's completely separate from those winds, that's two things to deal with. We've cured you if you can realize that.
No, it's not two things to do. No, it's not two things to deal with. How fast is the air moving compared to the ground? That's the only question.
Yeah, and compared to a stationary ground. Listen, it's always compared to a stationary ground. The ground speed of the plane is measured by its relation to a state.
Wait, did you hear him say exactly? I did. He goes, yeah, man, we fly. It's exactly. Listen to it again, man, one more time.
Yeah, and compared to a stationary ground. Listen, it's always compared to a stationary ground. The ground speed of the plane is...
Exactly. There you go. Exactly. Yep. Well, our planes fly exactly treating the Earth as flat and stationary. Oh, my God. That's crazy, bro. Yeah. You know what, Joe? I think you might be right, man. I'm going to go with the teleport. Fuck this airport bullshit, man. I got to go full teleport. Let's go. Yep. At this point, it does seem a little safer. Mongos.
Listen, it's always compared to a stationary ground. The ground speed of the plane is...
He said exactly. Again, he said, oh, yeah. I agree. We treat the Earth as flat and stationary. Exactly. Did you hear that? One more time, man.
That's the only question.
Yeah, and compared to a stationary ground. Listen, it's always compared to a stationary ground. The ground speed of the plane is measured by its relation to a stationary ground. If you were measuring the ground speed of an airplane to a moving ground, it would never even be calculatable. You wouldn't even be able to do the math, much less fly and land on it.
Moving compared to what?
Compared to stationary. Compared to stationary, the way.
Compared to stationary, bro. That's what he said. Compared to stationary. Yeah, I like that, man. Compared to stationary. Because every pilot treats the Earth as stationary. You know, I didn't just pop into this conversation recently, man, but without a doubt, man, every pilot treats it as stationary.
Compared to what?
Compared to stationary.
Compared to stationary, Mongo. Come on.
To stationary, the way the pilot treats it. Stationary Earth, a lab frame.
Where's this
lab frame.
Okay.
The absolute lab frame.
The absolute, what the fuck is that?
The lab frame is the absolute frame. That's how you know that relativity is relatively charted. Because you can't just like treat everything one reference at a time, one reference frame at a time kinematically and say, oh, we're just going to mathematically deal with everything in this mathematical way, even though these reference frames don't add up. We just treat them separately, and it's okay to have the contradictory reference frames. Right? It's just a kinematic, mathematical way of making your reality seem like numbers can solve reality to be this paradigm that I'm attached to, and I can just pretend the dynamics are included because we say it's as if stationary. As if stationary is the dynamics. The dynamics is stationary. That's what it's saying. As if the dynamics were stationary.
Are you finished?
Are you finished? Oh my God! You treat the Earth as flat and stationary. That's right, Daz. With the Globers deny over a flat stationary Earth. Yeah, they also must deny planes that are rigid to have what was that? Yeah. Welcome to the show, Mongos. Welcome to the show. It's not a show.
That was incredible. That was incredible. 10 out of 10.
Really? Jesus, you were
yeah.
That?
I mean, that was just. He didn't understand a single word that he just said. Like, not a single one. He couldn't tell you.
Oh, this is Mordwan that's going to talk about nanometers in a minute and thinks nanometers have nothing to do with arguments.
Well, we got a little bit of white knight happening here. I mean, I know Dave. He's been to my house. He's slept in my house. I fed him. He fed me. Amazing dude. I'm going to believe this guy that just came in out of nowhere to tell the Dave's wrong about this flight thing, man. The flight thing it was my number one go-to when I was talking to a Glober. Like, dude, let's talk about flights. How would this work on a spinning globe? How would the flights work, man? How would a pilot treat the Earth exactly? Well, I talked to dude, I'm 10 years into flat Earth. I've talked to 20 pilots. They all treat the Earth as flat and stationary, man. That's it. Give me 20 pilots. I got you, bro. Let's go. But yet these Mongos still fight these like little nuances of, oh, we got kinematics and dynamics, and we got the wind, and we got the spin and the wind and the, yeah, get the fuck out of here, man. Get the fuck out.
Meters in a minute and thinks nanometers have something to do with arguments.
No, it's just.
It was incredible, though.
Can you define the difference?
What's going on?
Can you define the difference for us between kinematics and dynamics? I'd be really impressed if you can do it off your own words.
Yeah, I think we weren't agreeing on that.
Kinematics is, you could have a kinematic explanation for things, but if you're involving
what is
all
a
the
kinematic
forces,
explanation?
it could be all kinds of things. You could take in the mass of something, even.
You could take in teleportation. Would be a kinematic, you know. That's how deep this Mongo shit goes. Yeah, you could bring in teleportation as kinematics.
It could be all kinds of things. You could take in the mass of something, even though mass is usually regulated to the dynamics. The masses and the forces and all that has to do with the actual relationship between moving bodies, right? That's the dynamics, right? The real forces that would be involved. Kinematically, you can make it all work, subtracting and adding and multiplying and whatever you need to get to your final solution.
The final solution to the ball and the ramp problem.
Yeah, to the paradigm that the atmosphere is moving the plane in sync with the Earth, so he could treat it as if, in quotes.
Oh, the pilot treats the Earth as flat and stationary because it's a globe. That's what he's saying, Mongos. Get that? It's hilarious, man. It's hilarious.
The atmosphere is moving the plane in sync with the Earth, so he could treat it as if, in quotes, it's stationary.
You know, your commitment to this argument is remarkable. I have to give you that.
No shit about that, man. Thank you, New Perspective. I mean, his commitment to this argument has been undeniably amazing. And, you know, I'm with him, man. It took me a couple of years to get down with it, but I was like, yeah, man, yeah, you got this, bro. Yeah, you got it. It's done. The globe is done. The globe is over. Thank you. It's called the silver bullet. Man, I love having a silver bullet. I got a bunch of them. Damn. I got a whole chamber of silver bullets just ready to crush the globe, dude. Crush it.
Moving the plane in sync with the Earth, so he could treat it as if, in quotes, it's stationary.
You know, your commitment to this argument is remarkable. I have to give you that.
Remarkable and fantastic.
Yeah. And
incredible, as you started off with.
Kinematic. One might even say your argument is both kinematic and dynamic.
I guess if you want to put it on paper as well as make it make sense.
Yeah.
What a dick. He's being a dick at this point. What a dick, bro. Come on.
I guess if you want to put it on paper as well as make it make sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you're a real force in the flat Earth space driving change.
You see how he's cocking it up, man. He's cocking up Dave, bro. New Perspective. He's like, oh, you're the force, man. You're like the man, dude, bro. You're the man, bro.
You're a real force in the flat Earth space driving change.
Well, you bet your ass he is. And so am I. And so is Jeeps and Lev. And yeah, we're out here, man. Check us out. Sue's out here. Yeah, we are the force. Damn, what do they call it? May the force be with you, bro. Yeah, remember that one? Yeah, I'm old enough.
On paper as well as make it make sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you're a real force in the flat Earth space driving change. in sync with the way that
I'm going to try
moving.
to gaslight. I'm going to try to gaslight him a little and act like I'm belittling him at the same time, complimenting him, even though I have no point and no.
Exactly. I'm going to belittle him and compliment and, yeah, be a Mongo. Go ahead. Go ahead, Mongo.
Like I'm belittling him at the same time, complimenting him, even though I have no point and no refutation to what he's saying.
No, I'm just here to summon the gang stalkers. That's the only reason I'm here.
Yeah, they all.
Oh, a little bit of truth. Yep, a little bit of truth right there.
I'm just here to summon the gang stalkers. That's the only reason I'm here.
Yeah, they all gang up because there's no answer to this one, and it debunks the globe so emphatically that everyone has to start ganging up on me.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I'm not even sure what you said half the time.
Well, we got to the end point where you were pretending the atmosphere would be moving the plane backwards, even though it's only supposed to be more or less in sync.
I don't think I agree with that.
You couldn't separate it. You're treating the rotation as if winds are the same thing, which you can't get past, so you're done.
Yes,
can you tell me what the difference is?
Yep.
Yeah, one's winds, right, moving the plane in all directions dynamically, and the other would be a rotation that the plane would have to be in perfect eastward vector tangential velocity sync with. It would have to be in such perfect sync that the pilot doesn't even have any idea that the plane's moving backwards somehow with the air as he's slowing down and land in the opposite direction. And there's winds going in all directions at the same time that he has to deal with. But somehow he has to believe in this pseudo realm of this narrative you live in, that the plane's moving out backwards with the wind, the air's carrying it backwards without any mechanism or dynamic relationship to the plane that measures its forward speed according. The forward speed of the plane is measured according to the stationary Earth. If it was a moving Earth, then he would have to calculate the difference between his forward vector as well as the side vector of the eastward tangential velocity being 500 miles per hour difference, and where all those calculatable things go out the window when you say, "Oh, we just think of it as stationary, so we don't have to worry about all those calculations." Oh, that's pretty.
That's very convenient. Yes, it's very convenient.
Convenient?
Why? Why would he have to take that into account?
Because it would be moving if that was actually happening. You'd have to take that into account. The reason he doesn't have to is
compared to what?
Moving compared to what? See how he's obfuscating the absolute point that Dave's trying to bring up. Like, he would have to calculate some curvature, some spin. Yeah, Mongos. It's so magical. So magical, Jeeps. It's magical, bro. It's
stationary, and the only reason he can treat it as stationary is it's
moving compared to what? You're the Mongos that started the motion. So why don't you guys end the motion? We're spinning. We're not spinning. I mean, compared to what? Compared to the fact that you guys came up with this shit? Yeah. You Mongos.
He doesn't have to. It's actually stationary, and the only reason he can treat it as stationary is it's freaking stationary, dude. You sound so ridiculous.
He does sound ridiculous. See how he's like backtracking and total cucking, man. 100%. Come on. Listen to him cuck. Listen to him cock.
The reason he doesn't have to is it's actually stationary, and the only reason he can treat it as stationary is it's freaking stationary, dude.
Moving compared to what? Moving compared to what? Moving compared to that? Yeah. Moving compared to what? What? Mongo. This is your fucking globe, dude. It's not mine, bro. It's not ours. This is yours. It's your globe. So go ahead. Go ahead.
And the only reason he can treat it as stationary is it's freaking stationary, dude. You sound so ridiculous.
He had to say it 3 times. Did you guys catch that? 3 times, man. Mongos had to say it 3 times. Come on. Yeah. Yep. 3 times, bro. Moving compared to what? Moving compared to what? Moving, dude, it doesn't matter what it's moving compared to what. It's fucking moving, bro. That's what the point is. Not compared to what. This is your explanation, bro. How the globe works. Moving. It's moving, bro. It's moving.
The reason he doesn't have to is it's actually stationary, and the only reason he can treat it as stationary is it's freaking stationary, dude. You sound so ridiculous, even though most of the world probably thinks they agree with you.
Moving compared to what?
I think he had to say it like 5-6 times, maybe. Moving compared to what?
What? Moving compared to stationary? What are you talking about?
Jesus fucking Christ.
Stationary.
He got frustrated. The demon got frustrated, bro. You hear that?
I agree with
Moving compared to what?
What? Moving compared to stationary? What are you talking about?
Jesus fucking Christ.
Yep. Mongo. Total Mongo.
Stationary, bro.
I know stationary. The Earth is moving compared to what? Not compared to.
It's your fucking claim, Mongo Totem. Mongo Totem. Can I call him Mongo Totem? Yeah, I'm gonna go with that. Yeah, it's his claim, dude. The globe thing is their claim, bro. Not ours. I learned it in school. But this guy's defending it, man. Compared to what? Compared to what? Do you see how he kind of he weaseled his way out of the conversation, tried to deflect, and that's all I'm pointing at, man. Don't you be deflecting, bro.
Jesus.
Obfuscation, yeah, exactly. Obfuscation.
Stationary, bro.
Same shit.
I know stationary. The Earth is moving compared to what? Not compared to the other model. Okay, the absolute lab frame. Is the airplane in the absolute lab frame?
Depends on whether the kinematic final
Are you kidding me?
solution is implemented yet.
Oh. Jesus.
What a Mongo, man. You see the Mongo? Obfuscation Mongos, bro. That's what's happening. All right, let's keep it going. I'm going to back it up.
Depends on...
The absolute...
Stationary, bro.
I know stationary.
Stationary is stationary, bro. That was on the table. It's on the table. Let's go. What do you got? Stationary is stationary? It's not Stationary is not stationary, bro. I think that's where they're going to go. Watch this.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Stationary, bro.
I know stationary. The Earth is moving compared to what? Not compared to the other model. Okay, the absolute lab frame. Is the airplane in the absolute lab frame?
Depends on whether the kinematic final solution is implemented yet.
Oh. Jesus.
Yeah, there has to be an absolute lab frame, and that's why relativitardism is such a thing now. People think there's no absolute lab frame. It has to be in relation to something else.
Is measuring the rotation of the Earth from an absolute lab frame. Did I get that wrong?
No, the airplane doesn't measure any rotation of the Earth because it's stationary.
But if it did, it would have to be from an absolute lab frame, right?
No, if the Earth were moving, then the speed of the plane wouldn't be in relation to a stationary Earth. It would be in relation to
it would be
a moving Earth with a tangential gradient. That's the difference.
So the Earth's frame and the plane's frame will be the same?
What?
So would the Earth's frame
would it be the same?
Frame be the
if the Earth were moving, it would never be the same. You'd have to have a mechanism to keep the plane in sync with the faster rotation as it goes towards the equator. That's been my point this whole time.
I gave you that mechanism.
Quick question.
And I gave you that mechanism.
There's no mechanism. There's no mechanism. There's dynamic winds, but only a kinematic concept that beyond those dynamic winds, the atmosphere is also moving him twice as fast backwards, even though there's no dynamics to that the pilot can even detect.
We return to your misunderstanding of kinetics versus dynamics.
Okay, then you explain dynamics versus kinematics right now.
So kinematics just says you can explain a system two different ways and it mathematically makes sense. Dynamics says you have a mechanism for why it's one or the other.
Forces,
Man,
real forces,
you guys
right?
are confusing. Why don't you go with kinetics versus kinematics? The one with the M does not have mass in the equations. That'll be kinematics. So kinetics has mass in the equations, which means you got forces.
You could call it kinetics instead of dynamics.
Kinematics.
That's a good one, Cyrus. Yeah, the kinematics has the kinematics has the M, even though it doesn't include the mass. Is what you're saying, right?
Right. That's how I memorized it. No, I think I got it right. The one with the M does not have mass in the equations, which should be kinematics. Kinetics does include mass. I double check my shit. I'm not. It's been over a decade.
Which means it wouldn't be.
No, the kinematics is the one without the mass. You're right.
Which means it wouldn't be dynamic, right?
Yeah, you don't have the forces, bro. You don't have the mechanism. You can just claim a mechanism, even though you're still just doing the kinematics.
Right. So
no, you weren't right.
Dynamic
you thought there was a mechanism.
Moving, right?
You thought that the kinematics included the mechanism. You could even use the M for the mechanism.
No, that's the opposite of what I said. Jesus.
Regardless, you were wrong. The kinematics does not include the forces or the mechanism you would need to keep the plane in sync. The kinematics is the concept.
1 second.
Christ on the cross.
1 second, Globers. Okay, don't lose your shit. Okay, I think this is what you Globers should be asking. Okay, Dave, New P. Can a plane actually fly on a globe, in your opinion?
Oh God.
Not if it's treating it as stationary. If it was flying over a globe, it wouldn't be able to assume that it's landing on it as if it's stationary. It can't be as if stationary and actually be a globe because it's not in the same reference frame. It's detached. That's why they say conservation of momentum for being on the Earth keeps it up, but then they have to change it to the air when you get to a higher tangential velocity, and that doesn't even work either because there's no mechanism. Okay. It's just an idea.
Well, there's no mechanism is like implying or importing that they're not using anything to correct anything, right? So my question for you, however,
they don't even have a claim.
UP, 1 sec. Like, yeah, do you think that planes could actually fly on a globe with this kinematic versus dynamic sort of interpretation?
Not if it's treating it as stationary. If it was moving, it would be a completely different scenario. Because they don't even claim a lockstep atmosphere. They claim more or less, and more or less wouldn't even be good enough if it's treating it as stationary. And there'd have to be a mechanism that's pushing the plane with no dynamics, even though there's dynamic winds pushing it all over the place.
So presuming that they did account for it, do you think they could fly on a globe? I'm just kind of curious as your take on that.
If they did account for it, when they landed, they would have to either be facing directly east or directly west, and the runway, the landing strip would have to be going along with the rotation. And if they landed east, they'd have to speed up to keep up with the rotation when they landed. And then if it was going west, they would have to slow down so that the landing strip didn't end too soon. They would have to slam on the brakes.
Okay, so I was right earlier when I was saying you're expecting 1,000-mile-an-hour winds at the landing point. That's so stupid.
And nothing to do with wind. I'm talking about the rotation of the surface.
It would have to be. That's what you're suggesting.
Rotation of the surface is what we're talking about. You keep conflating it with. No, it's the difference, dude. The winds and the surface of the Earth moving the plane would be two different things. That would cure you if you realize that.
I want to know, in your interpretation, UP, so these, like, what's going wrong, essentially? What would you expect to see the planes be doing if they weren't, like, so they say that they're not accounting for it, they say they don't need to, but they should, in your interpretation. I just want to understand, what would be happening with the plane, and how would it be trying to land, or what's actually happening? Does it start, like, rotating upside down all of a sudden, and then you'd expect it to crash? Like, what would you be expecting to see if they?
You would expect the wheels to snap off.
Yeah, well, I mean, if it was moving eastward at a different, if it was moving eastward, we measure it by eastward tangential, and the globe claims, the globe claims an eastward tangential velocity of 1,000 miles an hour.
Yeah, but so my question is primarily, what would you expect? So they're not accounting for it. What would we expect to see in the plane from your interpretation? Would it start rotating upside down accidentally because they're not accounting for it? or like what would start occurring? Like, how would you expect the plane to go down if they can't do it, right? And you've got this two dynamics, like two environments that it's set within. They're not accounting for it. What would you expect them to be accidentally doing, or like how would it go wrong?
Well, according to their model, right, it's an inherent contradiction, because they're saying that the plane treats it as stationary, even though it's not attached to the Earth any longer. It's in a separate reference frame. We have the inertial and the non-inertial reference frame, so they acknowledge that, but then they treat it as if it's the same reference frame, and the pilot could treat it as stationary. So there'd be all kinds of stuff happening if it was actually moving.
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't be moving backwards as it's landing. Is facing westward. It can't be moving backwards at the same rate as the Earth without a mechanism to move it backwards as it's slowing down to land in the opposite direction.
I want to know what, like, so there's passengers on that plane, right? And you've got some globe guys that are, depends on the way that you want to take this, but they're either accounting for it and they don't need to, or they don't need to and they are accounting for it. So what would you expect? Like, you're a passenger on that plane. What's the experience of the passenger on the plane? Like, does the plane begin to slowly turn upside down or something? Or does it, like, sort of the speed is just...
That's another point you could make about being upside down if we went around the world, but regardless, you could just say that the center of gravity makes that even unnoticeable or whatever. I'm saying all the arguments about the plane, the curvature and all those things with the pendulous vanes and all these other excuses, you could maybe get away with thinking, oh, that makes sense, pendulous vanes, or maybe there's all these, maybe like, somehow the curvature doesn't really matter, and all these other things maybe you could convince yourself of. But when you deal with the actual reality that the pilot only treats it as stationary and it's in a separate reference frame, and you'd have to believe somehow the air carries it consistently backwards as it's landing facing westward at 1,000 miles an hour without any kind of mechanism or notice on the pilot's part that he's being pushed backwards. There's no wind. You could call it a pseudo wind and just pretend it's there, but that's not a real mechanism, bro. That's just a kinematic concept.
No, it's
There's no actual dynamic. There's no dynamic.
It's the Coriolis.
Plus, the plane would need Dyson ball wheels to land sideways if it was on a spinning, wobbling monkey ball, right?
Nice.
Okay, can I address that real quick?
Mordwan's getting it, even though he's kind of making fun of it at the same time.
Right. Yeah, so let's work through that for a second, because that makes zero sense to me. So somebody at the landing point, right, that's going 1,000 miles an hour, let's say they're perceiving a 50-mile-an-hour wind, right? A little gusty on this day. You're telling me that the plane is approaching this point, and the ground is shifting under it at 500 miles an hour compared to where it took off. Is that the implication here?
Wait, that's what
the globe claims.
That's what you claim, Mongo.
It's very much not what the globe claims. That is absolutely not what the globe claims.
The globe claims it's moving 500 miles an hour faster.
Compared to the plane?
That's the fucking globe model, Mongos, man. That's what come on. I gotta back that up. Oh my God, that's what they claim, not what we claim, bro.
Compared to where it took off. Is that the implication here?
That's what the globe claims. It's not me claiming it. That's what the globe claims.
It's very much not what the globe claims. That is absolutely not what the globe claims.
The globe claims it's moving 500 miles per hour faster.
Compared to the plane? Is that what the globe says?
Compared to where the plane took off from, the globe claims that where he's landing at the equator is 500 miles per hour faster.
Correct. How fast is it going compared to the plane?
The plane's only moving 100 miles an hour forward the whole time, west-southwest.
Okay. And when it gets
there, now you have to believe that it picked up. It was starting out moving at 500 miles per hour eastward, yet only going 100 miles an hour forward, west-southwest. He gets to the equator and he lands in a random spot. You're still believing now that not only was he moving 500 miles per hour eastward when he started off, now he's moving twice that fast backwards at an angle so that he could treat the Earth as stationary without a mechanism. Backwards is he's facing west.
Did the air pick up that same rotation?
Listen, he's facing west.
Did the air pick up the same rotation?
Right. You said you don't know what that means, so I'm going to explain it. If he's facing west-southwest when he's flying and when he's landing, then there have to be somehow 1,000-mile-an-hour mechanism moving the plane in perfect sync with the rotation of the Earth at the equator, so the pilot doesn't have to worry about anything. He can just treat it like it actually is, stationary.
The air is the mechanism.
Hey, is it me, or did Dave kind of sound like Witsit there for a second? He had the same kind of cadence, you know?
Well,
like kind of like the
rattle. Same argument.
Talking about conservation of momentum.
No, we're talking about the difference in the conservation of momentum from where the plane takes off. There'd be like 1,000-mile-an-hour ground movement at the equator, where he took off at a 500-mile-per-hour latitude, where he'd only have 500-mile-per-hour pretend or pseudo, eastward vector conserved momentum. But that wouldn't last long, even if he did have it. But now he has to be moving twice as fast to treat the Earth as stationary at the equator. What's the mechanism that pushes the plane back as he's slowing down to land in the opposite direction? The air is not a mechanism. You can think of it as you can if you had a wind actually pushing him backwards. That would be different. We don't have no dynamic wind. We just have a kinematic excuse.
It's only 50 miles an hour wind. We agreed, right?
Well, then where's the 500-mile-per-hour wind moving him backwards?
He took off at the equator.
Than where he took off from.
It's the air. The air is also moving 500 miles an hour faster.
So the air pushing the plane is not a wind? What do you call it?
It's the plane pushing through the air.
Okay, so it's pushing through the air plus being carried back by it?
No. What do you mean being carried where?
It's being carried at 1,000 miles an hour doing over that spot? The air would have to carry the plane, right, somehow, backwards at the perfect speed.
Is he saying that something can move without being pushed?
He's saying that the air carries the plane without it being any kind of dynamic force.
The dynamic force is a thrust of the airplane. That's the dynamic force. The medium it's traveling through is traveling 500 miles faster where he's landing than it was where he took off.
No, he's traveling the opposite direction 100 miles an hour, and then he's slowing down to land, facing the opposite direction. It has nothing to do with the thrust of the plane.
What the fuck maneuvers are you talking about? What is he? I just have him going north to south.
Oh shit!
The pilot just flies 100 miles an hour forward.
To south. Right. Yes, forward. He's going due south. Right? North to south.
But the air carries it back 500 miles per hour faster.
What do you mean back? It's side
so if
to
he's
side
facing the opposite of if he's facing the opposite way of the rotation, then it would have to be moving the plane backwards.
The opposite way?
He's going west-southwest the whole time, and then that wherever he decides to land,
Can we just do north to south?
He's facing west when he lands. So now he's facing west.
North,
now the plane has.
I don't know what the fuck you're adding
why?
into this.
Because it's too hard to imagine. It's too hard to imagine the air.
Because I don't know what you're imagining in your head. What is this?
I don't blame you.
It's
really hard to imagine. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. He took off where it's 500. It's going where it's 1,000. That's north to south. He's also going west and west, bro. East to west.
East to west rotation, bro.
The planet supposedly is rotating west.
Yeah. See how he's obfuscating? He's completely. He's like, hey man, we don't want to account for that, bro. We don't account for that,
man. The planet supposedly is rotating westward, correct?
Correct. Supposedly.
No, I mean eastward. Eastward. It's an eastward rotation, right? The pilot is aiming the plane westward. So the air would have to be carrying the plane backwards eastward at the exact same rate as the Earth, without a mechanism. Just an idea that it's in.
Just an idea, man. Other than that, man, we treat the Earth as flat and stationary, bro. We got it. Okay. That's how we treat it.
Sink, even though there's winds going in all directions dynamically, that the pilot does have to deal with.
So you have the pilot traveling the opposite direction of the rotation, right?
Yep, at an angle west-southwest towards the equator where it's 1,000 miles an hour rather than 500 where he took off from.
Okay, how is that a better... All right, sure. So what's they're saying...
Yeah, sure. Yeah, what's the problem, bro? What's the problem, man? What's the problem, bro? There's all kinds of problems. There's all kinds of problems, man. That's what we're trying to point out, man.
He's traveling the opposite direction.
100 miles an hour forward, west-southwest at an angle. But he could be doing all kinds of loops and going all over the place. He could go up to the North Pole, down to the South Pole. Somehow, whenever he gets to where he's deciding to land without a ground path, just a joyriding pilot, right? He's always going to be able to treat that clearing that he just randomly decides to land in as stationary. And somehow the air magically is still keeping him in this vector of eastward, going 500 miles per hour faster than where he took off from. So the conserved momentum has nothing to do with it. It has nothing to do with the forward thrust of the plane, because he only went 100 miles an hour wherever he felt like the whole time. Now he's got somehow the plane has to be going at 1,000 miles an hour in such perfect sync with the rotation of the Earth that he can just treat it as stationary still. Where's the mechanism that keeps that happening?
Perfect sync.
Has to be perfect sync. Has nothing to do with the wind.
The air is doing the same thing.
Because if he was dealing with the rotation of the Earth moving at a different rate eastward,
in the sense that they can adjust for winds, right?
Don't get loud.
That's
this
not
is
a big
fact.
problem.
This is a perfect. This is a simple fact. Don't get loud because I'm saying. Don't get loud.
It's getting scrappy.
All right, somebody else can talk to this guy. He's just
manufactured
just tapped out.
The reality is that he was dealing with a different. He was dealing with an eastward rotation that was different than his plane's eastward rotation, as well as winds. That'd be two things to deal with. That's a simple fact.
It's not two things to deal with.
You can just pretend it's the same thing, but it would be two things rather than one. Like an aircraft pilot has to land on a moving surface.
The only thing you have to contend with is the wind.
To land on a slightly drifting surface, which would be the difference. If the atmosphere is only more or less would be slightly different. More or less would be slightly different. Aggregate means slightly. Means
almost deal with wind all the time.
Keep the gloves on.
Slightly different does not matter at all.
You would have to believe that, because otherwise you wouldn't believe in the globe.
No, it's just how physics works. Planes
you can estimate things.
It doesn't matter.
Oh, everybody, here's the pilot speaking to the people on the plane. We're going to be more or less eastwardly in sync with the rotation of the Earth, and they're telling me it doesn't matter. So it might be that the wheels break off, just to give you a little warning.
Stops being a pilot? Is that what you're saying? With a straight face, you're going to tell me that's all it takes for a pilot to just oopsie goop and not know how to fly a plane?
No, now you're trying to strawman it. The pilot treats it as stationary because it's stationary. He has nothing to worry about, bro.
Because minor winds don't matter. They can fly with minor winds.
Confusing winds with rotation. Otherwise, you wouldn't believe in the globe.
I'm not the one confused here. There is no wind when you're considering only the rotation. It's all rotating at the same speed.
No, you said more or less, or aggregate, or whatever estimation word you wanted to throw in there.
More or less means minor winds. That's the more or less. Winds.
No, that's what you have to believe.
Everything else is in aggregate. For fuck's sake, what is so difficult about this?
Because there's no mechanism pushing the plane to be in perfect sync, as well as winds dynamically pushing him in all directions. You can't separate those two. You could think of them as the same and different at the same time, but you're the one
at two different speeds. The air is moving 500 miles over here, 1,000 miles over there. Same mechanism that's moving the air at different speeds is moving the plane at different speeds. Exact same mechanism.
No, it's just an idea. We pretend that the Earth is moving 500 miles per hour here, so we pretend the air is moving 500 miles an hour. We pretend it's moving 1,000 miles an hour to the equator, so we pretend the air is also moving at 1,000 miles an hour at the equator and pushing the plane to be in sync. And there's dynamic winds pushing it in all directions. And it doesn't matter if he lands on a surface that's not really in sync, but it's partially in sync. We can just think of it as winds. It's not the same thing, but we can think of it that way and keep our paradigm intact.
No, it's not thinking of it. That's what they're defined as.
No, kinematics and dynamics are different.
You should look into it. That's absolutely fine, but you have yourself a hypothesis. Now go out and fucking prove that shit.
No, you need to prove that treating it as stationary means that it could actually be moving. If the ground speed, the speed of the plane is measured against the stationary Earth, and the
threshold treating it as
stationary, then the onus is on you to show that you could be treating it as stationary.
Ladies, one at a time.
Wrap your head around it.
Let's not do audio chaos. Let's have a conversation.
I would have loved to, but he's incapable.
Well, I mean, you are trying to converse with him and then pretending that he's not capable. So, like, look, he's very energetic about this subject.
What choice did I have?
what choice? You've got plenty of choices.
There's nowhere to interject with
Give
my
up your
opinion.
stupid paradigm or relax and just listen.
Yeah, I'm not going to be preached at. I'm sorry.
Well, no, you couldn't provide a mechanism. You just had a kinematic idea that you called dynamic.
No, I did provide a mechanism.
Just saying you did doesn't mean you actually did, because you don't know the difference between wind and rotation.
Smoked.
New P, did you have something that you were meant to do and you chose to be here and you're just loving it?
Yeah, I should have gone a long time ago. I'll let you guys take over. Good night.
Oh, sweet mercy.
No. That was fun.
Damn.
Manny,
why'd you kick him out, Ricky?
I didn't kick him out.
Why'd you kick him out?
I reminded him that he did say about an hour and a half to 2 hours ago, I'm going to leave real soon. And he's still hanging. Boy. So, yeah, totally. I just reminded him what he's like, what he intended to do, and he got sucked into the comment because he's.
Yeah, it was about an hour ago. Yep.
Passionate about it, which I don't mind.
Hey, man, are you guys passionate about Earth? I am, man. Yeah, fucking Mongos. Let's go.
Yeah, totally. I reminded him that he did say about an hour and a half to 2 hours ago, I'm gonna leave real soon, and he's still hanging.
Boy.
So.
He's a bully. He's a bully? What? It was an hour ago. That's it. He did, yeah.
An hour and a half to 2 hours ago, I'm gonna leave real soon, and he's still hanging.
Boy.
So. Yeah, totally. I just reminded him what he's like, what he intended to do, and he got sucked into the comment because he's passionate about it.
Well, I thought it was a good conversation. I don't know, man. I could be wrong.
Don't mind. It was good
he
fun.
likes the topic. It's fun to listen to him, though. I think he did good.
Check it out.
Booked a flight today, Heathrow to JFK. Headed west-southwest, cause there ain't no better way. Gonna find that old Coriolis, they say she's hidden in the winds. But that just can't be if we rotate east, tangential gradient. Hidden in the winds, Coriolis must be hidden in the winds. But the Earth ain't moving faster with the further south we've been. And we never could land safely with that tangential gradient. And we all know every pilot treats the Earth as motionless. So to think it must be moving is just insane, you must confess. But please don't get offended if this song makes too much sense. Just thank God that landing's easy with no tangential gradient in the winds. They said she'd just be hidden in the winds. But the Earth ain't moving faster with the further south we've been. And we never could land safely with that tangential gradient. So here's a lesson for who's listening. It's dynamics that are true. No kinematic concept could ever substitute. So the next time you are flying, no matter where you go, don't worry about rotation, cause we ain't on no damn globe. So here's a lesson for who's listening. It's dynamics that are true. No kinematic concept could ever substitute. So the next time you are flying, no matter where you go, don't worry about rotation, cause we ain't on no damn globe. Hidden in the winds, Coriolis just ain't hidden in these winds. And the Earth ain't moving faster with the further south we go. So thank God we won't be crashing when those wheels hit down below. Hidden in the winds, there ain't no Coriolis hidden in the winds. And thank God surface that is moving with a tangential gradient. Yes, here's a lesson for who's listening. It's dynamics that are true. No kinematic concept could ever substitute. So the next time you are flying, no matter where you go, don't worry about rotation, cause we ain't on no damn globe. Hidden in the winds, Coriolis just ain't hidden in these winds. And their earth ain't moving faster with the further south we've been. And thank God we won't be crashing when we touch down at the end. And thank the Lord, Earth is stationary, or we never safely land on a surface that is moving. There's no tangential gradient.
All right, Mongos. Pretty good, huh? Pretty good. Thanks again, everybody. Let's keep it real out there, man. That's pretty easy. You know, keeping it real. All right. Cheers, my Mongos. Cheers.